Hello and welcome to Drive and Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan,
I'm Ryan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. And hey, buddy, get on over to that Patreon, patreon.com/Drive and Double Feature Podcast, and we will show you a good time over there. Okay, honey, we're showing you a good time. For $5 a month, you get a flick fight. Oh, and you might even get some fun games, and that's only for $5 a month. But if you don't want to do that, you could just stick around here and get all this content for free. But moving into this week's episode, this Tuesday's episode, we are talking about 1982's Vice Squad, directed by Gary Sherman, director of Poltergeist 3, people. So you know he's making hits. This
Wow.
one, I picked it because it's funny. You brought this up before the show, but I was just looking at movies to cover, and everyone's favorite director, Marty S. He said this was the
Who?
best movie. Martin Scorsese. Come on now, Marty. You don't know who Marty is?
Uh, no, I don't.
Uh, well, he's a really bad director. But anyway,
Okay.
yeah, he said this was the movie that should have won the 1982 Best Picture, which is so silly. And I know, knowing him, he probably meant that totally dead serious. And I was like, okay,
What?
I gotta know what's going on here. Wait, you didn't know this?
I didn't know that he said that. No.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what the distinction was, because you mentioned Chariots of Fire. Because is it
No, no, that's about our movie on Thursday.
okay? Well, this one Best Picture, like this would have beat that for Best Picture. So I think that I think that's kind of funny. Actually, no, that's wrong. That's wrong.
No, it would have beaten
Gandhi.
Gandhi.
This would have beat Gandhi, which I don't know. Is Vice Squad better than Gandhi? We'll
No.
decide today. No, I agree. No.
I love
Um,
Gandhi. That's like one of my favorites.
no, Gandhi's good. Gandhi's good. But Vice Squad is it's about a Vice Squad. It's about a cop or a couple cops that bust some prostitutes, but they're really after a really evil pimp that also kills a lot of his prostitutes, which seems kind of like anti-pimp business, right? Like you keep them in line, you don't kill them. Like that seems like the wrong idea.
He can get as many of those as he wants. If a pimp wants something, he's gonna take it.
Yeah, I guess that's why Wings Hauser is a perfect pimp, because he really looks like the type of guy who could be a pimp. He's probably my favorite cinematic pimp.
You know who the perfect pimp is?
Who
Your dad.
I agree. Yeah, my dad is the perfect pimp. See, I know a lot about pimps because I've lived with one for so long. But but so this movie is crazy because I have not seen a 90-minute movie. I mean I have, but I don't want to go too much into
You've never seen
hyperbole.
a 90-minute movie?
No, scratch that I have. But this movie is so fast. Like its plot, it just like goes by, like just like zooms through it. And I
Hmm.
was just so surprised by that. Like it was just, I felt like I was halfway through the movie and it had just started.
Yeah, no, that's one thing. It's like there's almost not like a whole lot of like downtime to this movie. It's very, very, very fast paced.
Yeah, it's definitely cop procedural through and through. This is like a cop movie. It was actually meant to be a made for TV movie. So the director that made this went out into the streets, interviewed pimps, prostitutes to get what life was like on the streets, and wrote this movie. Same with the lead actress in the movie. I guess she lived with escorts for like 10 weeks to prepare for her role in
Whoa.
Spy Squad. Insane stuff, played by Season Hubley, I should say. Yeah, and it was gonna be too graphic for TV, so they just moved it on over into being a movie. Um, so this movie is definitely sleazy 80s movie. So what an intro to this movie where it shows this woman. She's with her daughter, and you get a little hint. Her prostitute name is Princess. but
Yeah.
her nanny says like calls their daughter a princess, and she's like, don't ever say that.
I told you never to use that name.
Yeah, which I mean, I get that. That would be hard to hear, wouldn't it? But why would you
Yeah.
choose a name like Princess?
Well, she probably didn't think she was going to have a kid when she was called Princess. Has probably been in the game for a while.
You're probably right.
But
I think it'd be funnier if her name was like Sally, but like she named her daughter like Sally as well. Just kind of wrote herself into a circle.
uh, so when they show this intro scene for this character, you don't know she's a prostitute at first.
Yeah.
Like, so they do the intro. She's got like this huge house. She's got a housekeeper, and then and then she just like goes out and just starts, hooking, and and I'm like, wait, because at first I was like really like because you start getting inklings that she's a prostitute because her prostitute friend like calls her and
Yeah.
says like, I just ran away from Ramrod and he's gonna kill me if he finds me. And but when she starts doing it, but the whole time I'm thinking like, why is she still a prostitute though? I mean, like
Mhm.
I mean, I guess it's really good money, but I just
Yeah.
seemed like you've already reached the end goal. You've got a huge house and a housekeeper.
Yeah, she seems to have it all, and she works alone. She doesn't even have a pimp. So like
No,
she could leave at any time and probably be fine. But maybe
maybe
she
that's why
enjoys
she's
it.
so. That's why she's so rich. She doesn't have anybody to take a cut.
There we go. Exactly. That she gets all of that time, and she turns tricks all the time in this movie. There's a section where it just kind of shows her working, and she kind of rolls through people pretty quickly.
And
Um,
she knows too. Like she gets spot a cop from a mile away too.
yeah, she's just really good at what she does. If someone pulls up, she knows instantly that they're a cop. One of the funnier scenes in this movie is another prostitute is a cop first day on the job, I guess, first day on Vice Squad is like, hey, I want to do a Jamaican accent today. Can I do that? So he does this really bad Jamaican accent and still gets a girl arrested because he rolls up and he's like, "Hey, man," like
How much for a good time, man?
yeah, it's so silly, and they still get that girl.
Well, that's because she
So
was her. That's because it was her first day too. They said she was a blue chip.
oh, she was. Oh, I didn't even catch that. Wow. So I guess you got to figure it out. I mean, I would quit instantly if like my first thing I ever did was get caught by a cop. I'd be like, all right, I'm
Yeah, like
out.
the first time, it's just like immediately get arrested. It's like, man, this is harder than they said.
Yeah, they're all cops out here, huh? But there is a main cop played by Gary Swanson, who's kind of the one that we're going to follow through the actual crime mystery of this movie. Well, it's not a mystery, but this manhunt. We know who it is. It's a pimp named Ramrod, who is absolutely insane. This performance is just nuts. So, like this movie, I don't think there's a lot of good performances here, in my opinion. And I wouldn't say Ramrod in particular is a good performance, but man, it is a fun performance. He is going crazy and just playing pure evil in this movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's pretty much his movie. I
Hmm.
mean, he's very, very insane. Like almost like he's just totally sadistic. Like he does not care. Like I almost think like I mean, I know this is kind of crazy saying this, I guess, but it's like I thought like a lot of the violence in this was like a little too over the top sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
And like not even necessarily like just like the gore level, but it was just like a woman, like he would like kidnap a woman and basically just be like, tell me where princess is or whatever. And then she'd like tell him and then he would like still beat her up. And like you would just see like a scene like where he's like just tossing like this
Hmm.
hooker that was just beaten within an inch of her life, like on the side of the road.
Oh no, yeah. In this movie, that if there was one thing in this movie, I think it gets really uncomfortable with those scenes. And I know that's kind of the point, but it makes it like a very unpleasant watching experience, right? Like there's a scene, it's way late in the movie where he's basically torturing Princess and like opening her shirt, rubbing her with a knife. And I was just like, man, this is making me really uncomfortable.
Yeah, like it's probably like the thing where it's like I understand there's shock value, but at
Mhm.
the same time, like he does this multiple times in the
Yes.
movie. It's not like this is like a one and done scene where it's like, oh, like this is as far like we've already seen him do something crazy like this because like the last girl that he ended up basically beating her up so much that she died was, he tied her to the bed and did God knows what to her. And
Yeah.
and then, the next scene she's in the hospital dying in her sleep.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And,
it's quite a lot.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, this he's really sadistic. I mean, it's fun to watch, but it's a very
Mhm.
one-dimensional character. It's
For
like
sure.
it's
Yeah.
like it's like okay, he's crazy, and it's like okay, what else? He's really crazy. It's like
No, yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying. There's like no depth there. Like there's no like understanding. It's just like, yeah, he's crazy. That's it.
like it would have been something like maybe if it's like oh like he's a coke fiend or something like that, and he's
Hmm.
just so addicted, like his brain's been fried from all the drugs, or
Hmm.
he's just or maybe like he had like a personal history with one of them, but he doesn't even know who Princess is at
Hmm.
at the start of this movie because like that's the whole thing. Like Ramrod beats up a woman so bad that she dies, and then I think I think his name was what, Walsh was the cop's name, or nobody treats women well in this movie too. It's like they all like are so mean to like all these
Yeah.
women.
You would like to
Eh,
hope that Princess is like a strong female character, which there's hints of that in here, but still she's at the mercy of Walsh.
but like even Walsh is basically just like is like if you don't talk and you will talk and if you go to jail you will lose. It's like you will lose in court and you'll be in jail for so long that even your daughter's going to be turning tricks, and it's just like I'm like okay, am I supposed to root for this guy because like I don't really like him either, but
No, because I mean, yeah, the scene where because she doesn't know that this girl has died, and the scene where they do the convincing, they show her the dead body, and he literally holds her in place, and it's like
Mhm.
you gotta look at
Look.
this. Yeah, it was just like okay, but it does convince her to do it, and that's kind of where the rest of the movie comes in. Is she actually busts Ramrod? And she entraps him, and then the cops come in and they arrest him. Um, but he gets out because
Mhm.
there's like these two bumbling side cop characters that are just complete idiots, and he gets out of the car and breaks their nose, and now he's on the hunt for Princess because one of the last things he says is, "No one ever busts Ramrod, no one." So of course he's got to exact his revenge.
Well,
Um,
that scene was really frustrating like when they bust him for the first time.
mhm,
So like he is like in police, like he's about to have sex with Princess, and he's basically just like okay, like you're gonna start turning tricks for me now, and it's like
mhm.
it's like you're gonna be mine, and then the cops bust in and he's unarmed, like he doesn't have like even a knife on him, and then
Yeah.
he just grabs Princess and he's like don't come near me, cops, like I'm gonna hurt her,
Mhm.
like he's unarmed, like just get him. Like and
Yeah.
and he's still able to break out of police custody, and I'm like like either this guy is just a super freak, he's got like this freakish strength, but I think it's more so that these cops are just they're horrible at their job.
Yeah, I think they're just idiots. Yeah, because I mean, they take so long to even in that scene to handcuff him and take him out of there. It takes forever, way too long. So yeah, and now they can't find him. This guy who's, I mean, like Ramrod on his path to get the princess goes into like motels and beats the crap out of the lady at the front. And it's like he's obviously leaving a trail on his way, so it can't be that hard to find him. Um,
No.
yeah. But this movie has one scene that I keep thinking about because it is so odd. This movie is tonally there's a few odd scenes actually. This movie's tonally weird. So the first bit is very very serious. And then there's like that one part in the hotel where the Chinese man walks out and he knows martial arts and he kung fu beats up the cops. Which is
Yeah.
what was that?
Well, this movie has a lot of comedic moments. Like it's very like it's super gritty, like very like, barely heavy on the violence, but
Hmm.
but there's like a B plot where it's like this episodic adventures of princess where it's
Yeah.
like instead of her reacting or hiding, she's just going about her day, like going about like her lady of the night business and just
Hmm.
like, okay, like this is what it's like. This guy, he like it. There'll just be like these little vignettes or episodics, or like she's just running into like these different Johns, and they all like are varying to different degrees of like creepy or weird or whatever. And like one guy's like, it's like, oh, I'm not here for sex. I want your feet. and,
Yeah.
and she's
Which
like,
which I guess in 82 that was probably like, oh, gross. But
yeah,
in 2024, the internet's full of freaks. So, yeah,
yeah, Nathan.
I'm calling them out right now.
But yeah, that he's like, oh, she said, okay, well, let me go wash up. And he's like, oh no, that won't be necessary.
That will not do. Yeah.
And
Uh,
or
that
like this other guy was like, so how much for a golden shower? And she's like,
I love
I'm
her
good.
dialogue here.
Yeah, she's like, I just went to the bathroom. He's like, well, I just got have $100 and a six-pack of beer. And she's like, well, you just earned a date with Princess Running Water.
Yeah, that was so silly. But I'd say the best vignette of her, the weirdest vignette of her is like this butler guy showing up to her and be like, "Hey, I have somebody that's going to pay you a ton of money to do something, but you have to stay quiet the whole time." And you're in mystery of who this guy is because there's a huge setup. She has to put on a bridal gown and like her butt is showing, and it's like, okay, what's going to happen? And it's a big reveal. The butler's like, hey, be quiet. You're going to go in here and you can't speak. And then she goes in. This guy is in a casket, and he literally raises up and scares her, and she
Yeah.
screams. He cries like it's almost like a baby, like, she spoke. Oh my God,
And
she spoke. You
you
ruined it.
you promised she wouldn't speak.
Yeah. So she gets kicked out. The fantasy's ruined. Like she like there's no going back. It's so bizarre. I guess it's supposed to be like, yeah, people have weird fetishes.
I,
It's
I I don't even know like what it was supposed to be. Like so like he was supposed to like go boo and she was just to just stare at him.
right. She got a little scared. It happens.
I'm
I,
like, I don't understand what the point was. It's very silly.
yeah, that scene was just so odd. And yeah, she gets kicked out of that, and then that's how she ends up in Ramrod's arms again. For probably the long.
I guess this all takes place in one night.
That's what it
So,
feels like.
because I guess she's just so worn out. Like when she does end up like with this other guy, like this guy's just like on
Mhm.
top of her. He's like, what am I even paying you for? Like,
That's right. And he almost steals her money.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's like moments like that, and then intercut is the cop going around town searching with like the kung fu guys showing up. I won't say these scenes are the most interesting, at least to me, because it's just him kind of interviewing pimps and be like, "Where do you know where Princess is at, or do you know where
It's
Ramrod's at?"
of the three sections of the movie, it's the least interesting.
It really is, yeah. But it all comes together whenever she gets kidnapped by Ramrod again, and she ends up getting tortured because, of course, he's really pissed about everything, and it causes a standoff. And so he escapes, and then there's a big shootout at the end of the movie.
Well, I mean, again, it just shows how inept all these cops are
Yes, yeah,
because Ramrod's able to like procure a gun.
that's
So
right.
like
Yeah.
four cops bust in at once and they're like freeze and Ramrod just shoots one like right in
Hmm.
the chest and then he just dives out a window and like runs away and then finally like he's outside and then another cop like the Jamaican cop or whatever is like, hey, stop, and Ramrod turns around with enough time because the cop like kneels down and like gets ready to
Uh-huh.
aim and like Ramrod just shoots him like during that time.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, no, and like even before then, leading up to that, the editing at least is weird of them walking up the stairs to get Ramrod, and they're slowly walking up, and then we get a really long scene of him talking to Princess, and then we cut back to them and they barely moved up a few steps towards the apartment. It's like a joke.
I thought it was gonna be like they were at the wrong apartment or
Yeah,
something.
that classic movie twist. Yeah.
Like they're gonna bust in and be like, and it was gonna be like some family like, oh, don't shoot.
And then shoot them.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, well, that'd be the gag in this movie. Like, darn it, we shot the wrong
Oh,
people.
dang it. But no, they show up the right place, and there's this huge chase at the end of the movie. And of course, it's kind of a happy ending. Ramrod does he goes down, but Princess is completely beat up and is being put in an ambulance at the end of the movie. But it's like a movie that ends with like the sunrise walking away, where it's like,
It's
yeah,
like, oh,
job
happy
well
now.
done. Yeah, we
And
did it.
it's like, no, like all these people are dead.
Yeah.
Princess has been brutalized and probably traumatized. And it's all okay now.
Well, we got Ramrod, even though it was our own fault that we lost Ramrod.
Yeah, it's our own ineptitude.
Yeah. So Vice Squad overall, I think it's an interesting movie. I had fun with it. Did it deserve Best Picture? No. It wasn't even that amazing. Not really, but I at least had some fun with it. It's got issues, but I don't know. It's all right. How'd you feel about it?
Well, if Marty says it's great, I say it's great.
Okay, got you. Just in case he's listening.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
No, I felt the same way. It's a fun watch. It's never boring or anything like that. And it's some of it's like completely comical, just like how evil Ramrod is. But there is just some really dated stuff in here that I really didn't care for. I felt like there was just no depth to it. So it's just like, yeah, it was a fun time. Like, would I watch again? Probably
No.
not. So I would, you know, I'd probably get a light recommend. It's like it's not like one I would actively go out of my way to see, but at the same time, you're not missing much if you don't see it.
Yeah, it's like a recommend with that like asterisk of like, if this sounded good to you, sure, go out and watch it. But if you're not really into like sleazy cop movies, then you are not missing out on anything. Vice Squad, interesting movie. I wonder if we'll remember this in 2 years. Will we be referencing this one?
Probably not.
Probably not. Just like how I was like with Hornet's Nest. I didn't even remember that was a movie we
Oh
covered.
yeah, when I said that, you're like, what?
What the hell is Hornet's Nest? But Ryan, I think that wraps it up for this one. What are we going to be talking about on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, we're going to be talking about the final movie of Romance Month. And Nathan, what's the most romantic place in the world?
Hmm. I don't, maybe like the Bahamas, right? Very beautiful over there. Yeah.
No, Nathan.
Paris?
No, Nathan. The city where lovers go, or the country, excuse me, is of course Scotland.
Oh, that was my third choice. Whoops.
Nothing's more sexier than a Scottish accent.
Oh,
So
yeah. Easy to understand.
definitely. So make sure you watch this movie without the subtitles. It's called Gregory's Girl, and that is streaming for free on Tubi and Amazon Prime.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to watch that one. And you can email us at drivein-double-feature-podcast at gmail.com. And also be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/drivein-double-feature-podcast. But until next time.
Until next time.